Hey guys, it's Adam from Akshon Esports, and today I'm talking to Surefour, DPS player for the LA Gladiators. Surefour, thanks for taking the time to speak to me.
No problem.
So, first of all, I want to talk a little bit about the game today. Can you talk to me, first of all, about facing off against Saebyeolbe and Pine, players who were held up as the best at their respective characters? What was that like, and how did you prepare yourself going into this match?
Pretty much prepare myself any other way against facing any good DPS player. If you honor someone, you kind of play safer sometimes, and then they can take advantage of that. So you just think of it as another player, but you respect them enough not to disrespect them. So you just think of them on equal grounds and just play around them like you would anyone else.
Right on. Talk to me a little bit about the character shifts on Ilios Ruins. There was a lot of dancing around certain character choices that seemed to be focused on what Pine was playing. Can you talk me through your thought process there?
Well, on Ruins, usually a lot of people play Widow, but since we're running me and Hydration, we can't do the Widow Tracer combo. So we go a tank comp, and a lot of those heroes don't get headshot easily, but Tracer doesn't do as much in a tank comp, especially against the Widow and what they're playing. So I decided in scrims earlier that a Genji can still just farm Blade while his tanks are doing a bunch of damage and contest the Widow whenever you want. A lot better than a Tracer can on Ruins. So that's how it goes, and that's why I'm playing Genji and not Hydration. In case they switch, I can switch from Genji whenever, or if I ever need to switch to Widow.
For sure. Awesome. So regardless of the outcome today, what we saw out of you guys was some of what seemed like the most intelligent strategizing and adapting to a specific matchup. What went into that, and is this the kind of strategizing you use for every match, or is this specific to New York?
We pretty much have a certain strategy for every map, and when we start playing the game, we start feeling out how the enemy team is playing, and we kind of switch around what we're doing. But everything, you have a core plan, and then you build upon it depending on who you're facing. So things kind of organically changed as we're facing against New York, but I think they also changed their play style during the halftime, and they ended up pulling the win.
For sure, a little bit free form there. Leave it up to your judgment call.
Yeah.
So what's that like? Is there kind of a democratic decision in that sense, while you're in game discussing what new strat you may try, or is this more of a personal decision? I think this really calls for this hero or that hero.
There's some democratic discussion to it, so if anyone has an idea, they're free to say it, and if you have a thought, you just say it, and if people agree, you do it, or if no one else has a plan, you kind of just go with the plan that was said. So Overwatch is all about trusting your teammates and making sure you all at least have a plan that you can all follow, whether it's good or bad.
Right on. I'd also like to talk a little bit about the momentum of the game today. You guys had a lot of it going into map 3, but as we know, New York and Pine in particular excels on control maps. So how did you go about recovering from that kind of speed bump, and is there anyone in particular on the team that serves to rally the rest of you, especially when going into a game 5?
I think Bishu's probably the happiest, and Shaz is pretty level-headed too. I tend to just kind of stay quiet and stay calm and try and make sure I'm leveled up. But, we think of every map as it being 0-0. Each map is a new map, so whether we're up 2-0 or we're down 2-0, it doesn't matter. You have to play the map the best you can.
Fair enough. Regardless of the outcome, once again, you guys had a really strong showing today. Every single map looked like it could have gone either way, and it really came down to the wire every single time. So what does this mean for Gladiators going forward? How are you going to continue improving the way we've seen since the beginning of Stage 2?
I think it's just mostly about keeping confidence and, always striving to be the best. Because I believe Overwatch is 80% confidence based, especially on a lot of the mechanically intensive heroes. So I think if we keep our mindsets close and we don't get in the gutter after a close loss like this, we can keep climbing and prove that we're more than a mid-tier team.
Right on. So how was it having your mom in the crowd today? We saw her when you guys went out. She looked happy as could be to be there supporting you. And like I mentioned, you guys really played your heart out today. What was it like to do so well in front of her?
For me personally, it's I kind of just play because I just like playing games. It doesn't matter who's watching. I appreciate her being here, and I eat dinner with her. But once I'm in the game, everything else kind of goes away, and I just focus on killing people.
Right on. So starting in Stage 2, we saw some massive improvements from the Gladiators. Now in Stage 3, it looks like those improvements are continuing as you're taking big wins off of top teams like Seoul and being really competitive with the top team in the league, New York. So what exactly has clicked for Gladiators to elevate you guys to that level?
I think it's just a lot of learning from other teams, you know, since everyone is able to scrim each other and you have VODs of everyone, you can learn what they're doing. And you know, a lot of times if you're not sure what you're doing, you can kind of see what someone else is doing and then kind of incorporate it in your own play. So I think that's one of the reasons like the playing field is really leveled up in the Overwatch League, because one team might have like a certain strategy that's really good at the start, but once teams like pick up on it and can learn it themselves, they become good too and it becomes more even. So the top teams will always be the ones that can create those strategies beforehand that'll give them the upper hand. But it's a lot of the coaching staff just telling us what to do and making sure we're on the right track. I think it's a lot of individual players just grinding a lot more. Ever since Stage 3, like the end of Stage 2 came about when there's a lot of Widow maps. My coach says, you're going to be on Widow a lot more, so I took it upon myself to kind of just really grind it out and try and learn the hero myself. And I think it's paid off for the most part.
Definitely. So as the playing field is kind of leveled out, as you mentioned, and teams are improving both strategically and mechanically, we're starting to see a lot more of the nuances and flavors that specific players bring to their team. How do you feel like you have defined yourself as a player in the Overwatch League, and what is your role? And what do you think you are going to be recognized for? I
think my role is pretty much, or like the flair I bring to my team is always just going to be my versatility. I can pretty much play any hero at any given time. I might not be as good as people that main a hero, but I believe if I like, no matter what the meta is, I'll always be able to play in it, because I think as my Widow shows, if I grind something and really get to learning to it, I can be a top player at it. So it's basically like, if one of our players can't play something and they need like to fill in that kind of spot, I can put it in there. So it's not like if I'm getting put off an off roll, then the team has an uphill advantage or upper hand on us because I'm on a different hero.
Right on. Speaking of stepping up, it's starting to look more and more that the level of Widow play has elevated dramatically across the entire league. How has this higher level of Widow play affected how you approach your strats and your practices?
Since like every Widow is able to hit their shots for the most part, everyone has to be like, when there's a Widow on the field, you have to make sure you take no like wide peeks or like walking around carelessly, because I think everyone knows nowadays if you like misstep, you're gonna get shot in the head and just die. So, and I think a lot of people don't understand, but like Widow in the Overwatch League is like very, very, very team based. It's more than just the Widows and Widows fighting each other. It's like all information based. If the Widow knows where the other Widow is, but the other Widow doesn't know where that Widow is, they have like a huge advantage. So I think like at this point in the Overwatch League, it's more about like information gathering and just like waiting until you know when you need to take those shots. And then there's a little bit of like just random luck where you just peek and then you find him and then you kill him.
Right on. So in this environment where Widow sightlines are just no longer safe anymore, have any maps been dramatically affected by that in how you approach the objective or avenues that you take when engaging?
I think Temple of Anubis is probably the biggest example of it, because she's able to be on that plat and she can see pretty much everything. Right. And since the right side choke, which we call alley, is only accessible by really like Genji and people that can jump through the window, you see how like everyone takes their time very meticulously to like set up, not get shot in the head, try and wait, and then try and get that dive to like distract her. But if you mess up, you're either killed by a Junkrat, shot in the head, take a bunch of poke damage. So I think on wide Widow maps like Temple of Anubis, that shows how like safe pro teams have to play against each other.
It's a lot more high risk, high reward kind of setup. Excellent. Just in closing, Surefour, do you have any words to the fans that have stuck by the LA Gladiators all this time?
Thank you for supporting our team. I hope we can keep making you guys proud, and I'm glad you keep supporting us, even in the toughest times. We're all in this together.
Right on. Surefour, thank you so much for speaking with me. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to check out our channel for more action-packed content. Also, like and share this video, and click the subscribe button to join our notification squad. Thanks for watching.